Hello and welcome again to the Great Lakes Truck Series. Here we are for the Patti Engineering 175 here at Richmond Raceway in Richmond, Virginia. And I'm joined in the booth by Alex. Alex, how are we doing tonight?
Doing all right. We're here for some short track racing tonight in the Great Lakes Truck Series Richmond Raceway. It's going to do one of two things tonight. It's either going to be a crazy wreck fest and we're going to see space launch like we did last year, or we're going to see some great long runs throughout the race and some interesting pit strategy.
We can definitely see that here at Richmond if we have these long green flag runs, some pit strategy. We've seen it throughout the season. A lot of pit strategy throughout the season, saving tires, even some saving gas out there from drivers like Ross Brockman and others. So we're excited to see this race tonight. Of course, it is an elimination race. We will be trimming the playoff field down from 12 to 8 here tonight, and next week will be the first race of the round of 8, and we will be racing at Kansas for that. But first, we got to get through 175 laps around this D-shaped short track of Richmond Raceway here.
Yeah, and it seems as though the front row is pretty indicative of the last couple weeks we've seen here in the Great Lakes Truck Series, with race winner from a couple weeks ago at Darlington, Jake Miller, leading the field ahead of Nathan Nicholson, last week's winner at Watkins Glen. These two have really fired it up to enter the playoffs, but Zachary Henry's hoping to get into the middle of that with a decent qualifying run in third.
Yeah, Zachary Henry right there in third. Just to give you an update on the points coming into tonight, currently the driver on the bubble is Christopher Heller in that 8th spot, and the first guy out is Gavin Fitzgerald in the 14th. 3 points outside of the round of 8 coming into today. Fitzgerald, Ross Brockman, Eric Kep, and Matthew Rodriguez all outside the bubble right now. Matthew Rodriguez being 23 points out here tonight. Alex, you'd think a driver like Rodriguez might need to get a victory here tonight.
Yeah, essentially he is going to be looking at a victory, starting in the 14th spot, right in the middle of the pack. While I'm not saying that it's impossible for him to do it, it's going to be difficult with some of these drivers in the field tonight.
Difficult indeed, especially with a driver like Jake Miller in the field. Jake Miller was able to lock up his spot last week, and last time we were here, he led the most laps and won the race. So that Ford truck is definitely somebody to keep your eye out for tonight as he starts on the pole. We're going to go green flag racing here for 175 laps in the Patti Engineering 175, the elimination race of round number 1. And there goes Miller on the outside, immediately going with Nicholson down low, is going to jump up in front.
Yeah, good maneuver for Nicholson to slot into second position, with RJ Williams taking it around the outside of Zachary Henry. Is he going to be able to make it stick out of turn 2? It looks like he will. And then just behind him, Hunter Madalinas to the outside. Seems as right at the beginning, caution's out already.
Caution's out. It looks like Briar Fritz has spun on the back straightaway. Don't know if he had help right there. The driver of the number 31 machine has spun it out on the back straightaway. You hate to see it this early in the race. Doesn't look like he has any damage on that number 31 machine. Try to get a replay for you on that incident.
Yeah, it's just a typical situation, especially out of turn 2 at this racetrack. It's one of the most difficult spots here. You come out of that corner, the back end gets really, really loose, especially if you're racing side by side with somebody, trying to get the throttle down as hard as possible. You can just slip up, as you saw Fritz do right there on his own, but for cold tires on lap 1, sometimes you just see that.
Fritz in the 31 trying to maybe get used to these cold tires, and good thing he was able to not really get any damage on that 31 machine. He'll be fine with that. And we're gonna take an onboard look here of Briar Fritz. You said it, Alex. He just kind of lost it off the corner, gets a little into the inside wall, but it didn't look like it really gave him any damage, luckily.
Yeah, well, to be safe, he's going to be coming in to repair some damage. Might as well, you're in the back of the field, but he should be able to continue with some decent pace still.
Brian Fritz going to have to make his way from the back of that number 31 machine. Here we are on caution number 1, coming out on lap number 1 here at Richmond Raceway in the elimination race. There you see the 31 coming off pit road, and Miller leading the field at a great restart. Went really early, so these drivers might be a little more ready for this restart upcoming.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much your entire job as the leader is either to go early, go late, go in the middle, pretty much do whatever you can to get the advantage over your competition and try and get the biggest jump possible. Because if you ever need to race side by side in a turn one as the leader, it could lead to you losing that lead.
Definitely going to be keeping an eye out for Miller. Miller, of course, picked the high side last time. I think we will get the one to go this time by. Most likely we'll go once again to the high side, and Nicholson will go to the inside. Here you see Christopher Heller, driver of the number 11, currently in the 6th position. He's on the bubble coming into this race. He's been one of the main championship contenders, but not necessarily the strongest first round from Heller. He's on the bubble heading into this elimination race here, Alex.
Yeah, pretty surprising. Typically expect him to run very, very well in most of these racetracks. He got a good bump up at Watkins Glen last week with quite a few of his competitors not doing nearly as well. It's just Darlington really was not a good night for him, and so he's just hoping to have a nice, clean, consistent one, and he should be able to make it in.
Half a lap from Green Flag Racing. Currently, the drivers on the front row are the two locked into the next round. Nicholson, of course, winning last week, and Miller winning 2 weeks ago. These two drivers have already locked themselves into the round of 8. We'll see if they can compete for the championship in the championship 4. They're looking to maybe get some more points here today, as the green flag is once again out here at Richmond. A good restart from Miller. Nicholson not able to get in front of Henry this time, and Williams is all over his bumper heading into the corner. Williams is going to back off a little bit.
Bit of a poor start there in the inside lane. Wasn't able to get the tires going, but is going to be able to slot into second with the block on RJ Williams. The battle's now for third between Zachary Henry and RJ Williams. Positions are going to swap over like they did on the initial restart. Zachary Henry is going to take it round the outside and maybe clear RJ in the turn one here. Yes, he will. Oh, not yet. He's going to dive it in the inside. Nicholson is on the back bumper of our leader. He run right up to him as this battle for third is still raging.
Those tires looked awfully sticky on that 40 machine going through 1 and 2. A lot of grip through 1 and 2, made up a lot of ground on that number 4 machine of Miller. He's right there. He was able to put a little separation between himself and Henry. And now Henry possibly falling into the clutches of the 21 of Williams, who's right behind him, along with Madalinas and Christopher Heller.
And Jake Miller is going to have to be a little bit careful on the entry to turn 1 there. You have to take such a wide entry to get a fast lap around here. Could open up the door for Nicholson to send it up the inside if he's close enough, as it looks like he's been out-braking Miller into turn 1.
Nicholson seems super strong in turns 1 and 2, and Miller is able to get out of 3 and 4 fairly strong in that number 4 machine. But Nicholson keeping right there with him, not losing any ground.
Yeah, so far I think he's at the point now where the tires are going to start heating up a lot. It's going to be a lot harder to really get the hard grip underneath him, as he almost gets him in the back bumper there. Gets so close in the center of 1 and 2 and is able to carry it off, though he nearly got into the wall right there. Had to jump out of the throttle, quickly turn it off the wall to not hit it. That lost him a good chunk of time.
And a little bit of time lost right there. Nicholson looking to get it back. 2 truck lengths back heading into 1 and 2. He just gets into 1 and 2 so strong. He just has so much grip in that number 40 machine going through that corner.
Yeah, it looks like he loses out a little bit down here in 3 and 4, but his advantage in 1 and 2 is very clear. He makes up a lot of lap time on our current leader through those corners. So Jake Miller seems to be happy right now with that qualifying performance, as right now looks as though it's allowing him to keep the lead.
With a good start to the race in that number 4 machine. Led every lap so far, 12 laps into 175 laps here at Richmond Raceway. Most of the field has calmed down a decent amount. Maybe around like 10th, I see Matthew Durr, I think, is neck and neck with the 69 right there of Hayes. They're battling up for what looks to be the 13th position right now. Some good battles is going on right here. And I'm just looking throughout the field. One driver I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on throughout the day. Well, 2 drivers, actually. One is Matthew Rodriguez. I mentioned him at the top of the race. Matthew Rodriguez pretty much has to win this race to get into the next round. He's currently running in 15th. And the first guy out of the bubble in ninth in the points coming into today is Gavin Fitzgerald. Started 25th. He's already moved his way up to 20th. Came into this race 3 points behind Christopher Heller. He needs to make up those just couple of points to possibly get into the next round. He started off this season so strong, but he's been in kind of a slump as of late.
Yeah, and the most difficult situation for him right now is that he's currently sitting in the 20th position without a lot of cars close to him to make a maneuver, while on the polar opposite end, Christopher Heller, who he's battling with, is sitting in the 5th spot.
Heller looking pretty strong in that number 11 machine. He got past Madalinas and was able to drive away a couple of laps ago. Now Madalinas is actually falling behind Henderson as well to the 7th position. Heller looking good here in the beginning portion of this race. Looks like he's kind of just taking it easy on the tires, and caution's out. There is a caution on the speedway here at Richmond.
Rod Fausna out of turn 4. Oh, actually, there's a few drivers involved. I'm looking at the replay. Good number of them.
Like Robin Durr might have been involved in that. Maybe James Shiflett as well in the 28 might have had some involved. I think Kyle Hall might have been involved in that as well. I see some damage on his machine in the 87.
I'm seeing Truesdale nailed the pit entry barrels with the front end and seems to have towed it back to the garage.
Get your replay on the incident here. Caution number 2. We're going to try to check this replay here. Going to start coming on the back straightaway. It looks like Robin Durr is out here in front of Briar Fritz, who was involved in that last caution flag. Fritz sends it into the corner and gets him into the door. Very hard contact right there. And there you see Truesdale. Oh, man. That's definitely a trip to the infield care center for the number 60 machine. Very hard hit into the barrels.
Yeah, for a couple of these guys, they're going to have enough damage to either be completely out or be at a significant disadvantage from this point onward from this event.
Here we are going to take the onboard look. This should be an interesting look for Truesdale. We're going to get a look here for you. Gabriel Truesdale, he just sees Durr wrecking in front of him. He's trying to avoid him last second. He doesn't know he's going to come down to the bottom, and that is a heavy lick to that number 60 machine. Truesdale was just minding his business right there. And just to go back on the incident, just looked like Fritz is trying to maybe get back some of those positions he had lost and just really sent it into the corner and just lost all grip on that 31 machine. Just slid all the way up the racetrack into Robin Durr there. We're going to take an onboard look at Kyle Hall here.
Yeah, and I mean, he did definitely overcook the corner there. Kyle Hall with a good maneuver to get underneath him, and it's hard to get down into turn 3 while you're passing somebody, because typically you like to use that black sign up against the outside wall as your braking marker, but when you're inside somebody, you might not see that. And so in that instance, it looked like that Briar had just braked a little bit late and overshot the corner, as is so easy to do while battling with somebody.
Here we are going to look at Foz now. Driver of the number 16 machine, and he almost gets through it. That was so close. He was close to the barrels, and he looked like he might have missed the barrels. And he just got clipped in the quarter panel last second when spinning into the outside wall. Good effort to get through the incident in the number 16 machine. I would also like to note that Briar Fritz has gone to the end of the longest line for that incident there, and there was some takers on pit road underneath this caution. We did get some laps underneath those tires. Ross Brockman, Matthew Rodriguez, Matt Durr, Aiden DuPont, Lewis Woodall. A couple of drivers coming down pit road, maybe trying to make their way through the field here on those fresh Goodyears.
Yeah, this poses an interesting opportunity for these drivers at this point who are much further in the back to take tires and try and make up some track position, because we ran enough laps to slow down a good little bit there. Compared to the fastest laps, we were running about 3 to almost 4/10 slower a lap. So they will have a pretty surprising advantage going on to this next run.
But if they're using up those tires now, they might not have those tires later. Last time we were here, I think we had 6 caution flags here at Richmond Raceway last time we were here. So if history repeats itself, these drivers that stayed out here and kept those tires, they might have the advantage at the end of this race.
Yeah, very true. But going into the night, we do have 5 extra sets of tires in the pit lane. So about 20 laps into this race to take a new set of tires, while definitely not ideal, if we get a decent enough green flag run, I don't think they will be at a disadvantage come the end of this race.
We'll have to see where this race takes us. Still very early on here on lap number 21 of 175. Caution number 2. Jake Miller still leads the field in the number 4 Reese Chevrolet. Can he continue to hold that race lead as the pace truck pulls on pit road once again? And here goes Miller on the outside. There he goes. Nicholson was more ready this time, but Williams was very ready in that number 21 machine. Very good restart from the 21. He's going to battle Nicholson going into the corner.
It's going to be a tough spot on the exit for Nicholson, but RJ's not going to be able to hang on to the right rear. He's going to slot back as these guys are scrambling here.
Matthew Durr spinning off the corner. Matthew Durr in the number 2. I saw it on the backhand of the screen. The number 2, Matthew Durr, goes spinning into the inside wall. He just got fresh tires in that Cheez-It machine.
It looks like another case of turn 2 on cold tires bit out another driver. So easy to do that when you put on a fresh set of tires, and it seems like it may have happened again.
We are going to take a look at the incident. Matthew Durr, driver of the number 2 Cheez-It machine, looks like he just loses it. Like you said, Alex, just loses it off the corner, and he wasn't quite as lucky as Briar Fritz was. He took a very heavy lick to that inside wall and has significant damage to that front nose.
Yeah, unlike the situation we saw with Briar at the beginning, we see this time he was inside of another driver, and that's an extremely difficult spot to be in when you're on fresh tires. If you want to try and put the pedal down, especially past all these guys on slower, older tires, it's really, really easy to slip up as you don't have all the room to go to the outside wall to catch the car. So in that case, Matthew Durr, a little unlucky with this strategy, and it's pretty much going to end his night.
You hate to see it for Matt Durr, a very quick driver. Last time we were here, I think he had a pretty decent run. Yeah, looking back on it, he finished 5th last time we were here after starting 38. So very disappointing run for the number 2 machine tonight. Just got those fresh tires and spun to that inside wall. Very heavy damage to the front nose. We'll see if he's able to stay on track and try to snag as many positions as he can throughout this race.
Well, these drivers are getting a lot of practice in on these restarts. We saw those guys 2 wide, 3 to 4 rows deep at the back half of the top 10. One of the great beneficiaries of that entire situation was Elliot Henderson, who has already, since the start of the race, moved up 5 spots to put himself currently in the 5th position. So he's been pretty masterful in these restarts to find a lot of spots.
Just to correct myself from earlier, I said last time we were here we had 6 cautions. I was actually reading the lead changes. We only had 6 lead changes and 13 cautions for 66 laps. So almost a third of the race last time we were here was under caution. Take a look at the replay here of the restart. Here's Elliot Henderson in the number 37 machine. You've been saying how he's been making moves. He just looks really quick at the beginning of this race. And that's going to be trouble for the rest of the field because Henderson's one of those drivers all season long who's just found speed throughout the race. And the fact that he's already this quick early is scary probably for the rest of the field.
Yeah, and that was a very tight maneuver that he made out of turn 2 going into turn 3 there to just barely slip in front of Heller and pull to the inside of Zach Henry. We've seen a lot of crazy maneuvers already, some of them not working out, but that was one of those that worked out quite well.
There you see Henderson currently running in the 5th position, looking to snag himself another Great Lakes Truck Series championship, looking to lock himself into the next round coming into this race, 5th in points, 13 points above the cut line. One to go here. We're going to get the green flag next time by. Miller has decided on the inside lane this time. Nicholson will be up high. Williams going to restart in 3rd. Henry's going to restart in 4th, outside of row number 2.
I'm surprised to see this because so far, other than the one restart where Nicholson was a little bit closer right at the very beginning, the outside lane has gotten a really big jump for him, and it's actually caused 2nd place to battle and allow him to pull a gap. So, interested to see how this works out for him this time.
I think Jake here is just trying different things. He might as well with all these caution flags. As the green flag is back out, a great start from the number 4. And Williams is going to be able to clear Nicholson going into 1 and 2. Take over the 2nd spot. And now Henry's trying to get underneath Nicholson as well.
Well, different from what RJ did last restart. Nicholson was able to hang on to the right rear. He's not going to be able to hold it into turn 3. Barely slots his way into 3rd spot, but looks hungry to get it back as they're battling just behind. Christopher Heller making the move to try and go for the 4th position now after passing Elliot Henderson. Oh, I saw a bump from Nicholson into RJ Williams. Knocked him up out of the way. He's battling for 2nd.
Nicholson looking to snag 2 in a row. Gives a little bit of a bump to Williams. Williams not giving him very much room off the corner. Nicholson's going to make that room and get right in front of the 21 machine. Does the 21 attack back in 1 and 2? Does he give him a bump back?
Doesn't look like he's going to. I thought he was going into the corner. He got really, really close, but didn't end up doing it, as the caution is once again out.
Looks like Hayes is up into the outside wall in turns 1 and 2. I have to take a look to see what had happened there. But not too much damage, looks like, on the 69 machine, actually.
I mean, to spin down in the middle of turns 1 and 2 definitely means that there was some sort of contact made, as that's not a spot where you just lose it on your own. It's usually very gripped up down into turn 1. As we're seeing it right now, he's on the outside, gets put 3 wide by Rodriguez, who we believe is on brand new tires, and looks as though he got clipped in the left side by Fitzgerald, sent up and around, but doesn't hit the wall very hard, so comes away with pretty minimal, if any, damage.
3 wide doesn't tend to usually work here at Richmond. Matthew Rodriguez on those fresh tires, and I've mentioned it a couple times, kind of needs a victory to lock himself into the next round. I just think Hayes had no idea there were 3 wide, and Gavin had nowhere to go right there. Hayes came right down on him. I just think Hayes had no idea there were 3 wide in that sort of situation. And there you see it once again. The number 69 machine from his onboard camera goes up into the outside wall. Very slight front end damage. I think he should be okay. Hayes, the driver in the number 69, Jacob Hayes. We'll see how he does if he's able to come back through the field. But the 2 drivers are on the inside, were the 2 drivers I've kind of been talking about. Gavin Fitzgerald and Matthew Rodriguez. They both need to have a good night to get himself into the next round. Matthew Rodriguez needs to have a phenomenal night. Talked with them a little bit earlier, and Matthew Rodriguez said he's been practicing all week. He said he's never practiced this hard on a racetrack. He's looking to get himself up to the front on those fresh tires. Has already moved himself up to 12th from 20th. He restarted 20th 2 restarts ago. He's already up to 12th on those fresh Goodyears. 2 laps to green, it looks like right here. Will Miller decide once again on the inside lane? Nicholson up high right now. Have to wait until they come back around to see where Miller decides to go this time. The inside lane seemed to work out pretty well for him last time by on the restart. We'll see how it works for him this time if that's what he decides. I think I'm going to start finish line. We'll see if they get the 1 to go this time by, and they will. 1 to go is out. The pace car lights are out, and Miller will restart as the race leader. On the inside lane, it looks like, in the Reese Chevrolet, there is your current top 5. Jake Miller, Nathan Nicholson, Zach Henry, Christopher Heller, and Elliot Henderson is your current top 5. To finish up your top 10, you got Hunter Madalinas in 6th, William Barbagelata in 7th, Brandon Barkuski in 8th, Shane Nicewanger and Eric Kep round out your top 10. Some of these drivers trying to lock themselves into the next round, the round of 8. Next week, we will be at Kansas Speedway for that. We got to finish up Richmond first here after caution number 4. It looks like the lights went back on the pace car, actually, it looks like here. We're actually going to go around one more time, it looks like here. Now the 1 to go is back out here for the pace truck on lap number 35 of 175 here at Richmond Raceway. Curious if we're going to end up having a similar race that we had last time. So far this race is looking a lot like it did last season. A lot of cautions here early. We'll see if these drivers might be able to clean it up a little bit and get a green flag run in. A lot of drivers already on different tire strategies this early on into the race. We're going to go green flag racing once again here after caution number 4. Here comes the iRacing pace truck down pit road once again, and Miller with the restart on the inside. Nicholson tried to jump down in front of Henry, but there was no space there, and the battle is now on for second spot between Henry and Nicholson, as Miller's already a couple of tenths out in front. Miller missed the entrance of 1 and 2. He missed the corner. Lost a little time, but he still has a decent gap back to Nicholson, who's now cleared Henry for the second spot going into 3 and 4. Heller on the high side of his teammate Henry. Both of these drivers come into this race not locked into the next round. These two have been competing for the championship lead all season long. The number 11 and the number 12 for 25-11 Racing. Here comes the closer right in behind him. Madalinas was able to get past Henderson. Back into the 5th spot. Can Madalinas get up here and threaten? Heller is going to be able to clear Henry, it looks like, going into turns 1 and 2. Get himself into the 3rd spot as looks like Madalinas tried to battle Henry on the high side. Got really close to the wall coming off of the corner in the number 9, and he had to slow down and give the spot up to the number 12 of Henry. And now Madalinas is under pressure from the number 37 of Bobby Carter. Elliot Henderson to the inside, looking to get into the top 5. He sends it into the corner. He will clear him. And Madalinas jump down in front of Barkuski. No, Barkuski will not let it happen. Barkuski not able to get off the corner strong at all, and Madalinas is going to clear him going into the corner. Now the battle is right behind him between Barbagelata and Shane Nicewanger. Both of these drivers just above the cut line in 6th and 7th in points coming into this race. These drivers need to keep it clean with one another. But right in behind him, it's the driver in the must-win scenario, Matthew Rodriguez, the driver of the number 57 for Sky Motorsports. Looking to get his 2nd victory of the season, won earlier on in the season at Las Vegas. He needs that Las Vegas luck here today if he wants to get into the round of 8. Barbagelata will clear Shane going into the corner. He's going to try to drive away as there's contact off of turns 1 and 2. It looked like Matt Daniels back there. They're going to keep it straight for now. Way down to the inside. It looks like that's Brett Kingcott, driver of the number 6 machine. Almost getting into the barrels right there. Very close call for the number 6. And contact in turns 1 and 2. It looked like Madalinas got into the back of Barkuski. Now the whole field behind him is stacked up. Here comes Matthew Rodriguez in the number 57 on those fresh Goodyears to the inside of Barbagelata. Barbagelata fighting on the high side. Does Madalinas go after Barkuski again? It looked like last time in 1 and 2 he got him into the bumper just a little bit going into 1 and 2. Barkuski trying to separate himself. Matthew Rodriguez on the inside of Barbagelata trying to clear him, get another spot. That is for the 7th position right there. Rodriguez has driven himself up from 20th to 7th now. Rodriguez able to complete the pass on Barbagelata, now sets his sights on both Madalinas and Brandon Barkuski as the front 5 have really separated themselves from the field, especially Jake Miller. Jake Miller is over a second in front of 2nd place. Nathan Nicholson, you're not missing anything up at the front at the moment. Rodriguez continues to put the pressure on the closer, the driver of the number 9, Hunter Madalinas. Can he get around him, looking to get into that 6th spot? Couple of drivers behind him looking hungry as well. Barbagelata, Nicewanger, Lewis Woodall also on those fresh tires on the number 13 machine is not too far behind. Rodriguez putting that pressure on, but it looks like he's kind of stalled out into that position. Maybe these tires have kind of evened out at this point in the run. He's been driving awfully hard trying to get through the field. Maybe he's kind of stalled out here as here comes Woodall. Woodall's underneath Shane Nicewanger looking to take away the spot. Woodall's trying his best. He's all over Nicewanger. He's trying to get by him. Nicewanger not making the pass too easy in that number 49 machine. Gives him some space there. Can Woodall clear him off the corner? Almost was able to, got very loose. Maybe even got some help from Lawson. Lawson's going to send it in the corner. Lawson's going to get underneath the number 13 of Woodall. Lawson also on fresh tires. He almost doors him off the corner. Very hard racing for the number 24 machine. And here comes RJ Williams not too far behind as well. I think we might have Alex back. Alex, you got me? I'll have to check back with him later. Ashton Lawson here trying to snag some spots. He's the 2nd driver on fresh tires right now. Matthew Rodriguez, of course, the 1st driver on the fresh tires right now in the 8th position, right in behind Hunter Madalina still. He's trying to get past him on the high side right now, the number 57. Madalina's not giving up the inside lane. Rodriguez trying to do it up high. And here comes Lawson on the inside of Barbagelata right in behind them as well. Some good battles right here with drivers on fresh Goodyears. Now I think we have Alex. Alex, you got me?
Yes, we have come back. Computer crashed again. Love it. But hey, we're back into this amazing race. We've started to get a green flag run in here. Jake Miller is absolutely pulled away from the field at another high-wear racetrack like we saw at Darlington a couple weeks ago. And my goodness, Jacob Hayes, after spinning just a few laps ago, is now coming back through the field again up to 13th.
And I was curious about that. I was saying that about Hayes. Looked like he had a pretty decent race car. He was driving around 10th position, had been the whole beginning portion of the run. He's already back up here with the fresh tires. RJ Williams as well, because you had to keep in mind he pit underneath that last caution, I think, in the number 21 machine. He was running in the top 5, and now he's up here in 11th, trying to get into the top 10.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a pretty timely caution for them to come pit in, as now that we're on a green flag run, those tires are really going to come in massive handy, especially on the back end of the run when all the leaders' tires are eventually going to tank off on pace and become really, really slow. That's when you're going to see these guys really shoot out like a cannon.
We're going to see what happens here. Some of these drivers have already kind of used up those fresh Goodyears, though. Like, Rodriguez is kind of stalled out in that position. Lawson's still coming very fast. That number 24, Woodall definitely stalled out. Now he's getting pressure from Hayes. Hayes almost got into his door off the corner. But yeah, these drivers are bad. There goes Barkowski, the inside of Heller. Good move to the inside. He's going to clear him. It looks like Heller might even just kind of give him the spot. Heller might be falling off a little bit here in the longer run.
Well, I mean, we know Barkowski as well to have a pretty good history of doing well on racetracks with high tire wear. A little bit disappointed Darlington a couple weeks ago. He didn't run nearly as well as I expected him to, but still ran pretty decently. And tonight, he's coming back for a little bit of a redemption, finding his way up into the top 5 from the 13th starting spot.
Barkowski definitely looking strong here early in that number 25 machine. Looking to maybe snag another victory on the season, Brandon Barkowski. Looking good. Got past Heller a few laps ago. Now Heller's under pressure from Matthew Rodriguez, who's kind of in a must-win scenario. But here comes Lawson to the inside on even those fresher Goodyears. He's going to get past Rodriguez pretty easily. Now he's going to go after Heller.
Yeah, Lawson, another driver who is pretty decent on the longer runs, just in general, making a move up the inside of Christopher Heller is going to be pretty easy for him on that fresher rubber. Christopher Heller is really starting to fall off now, and he's just got to try and manage up until they make a stop or hopefully a caution comes out.
Definitely some good racing going on here. Drivers on various strategies when it comes to tires. A lot of these drivers haven't even taken tires yet, like Jake Miller, Nathan Nicholson, Zach Henry, Elliot Henderson. These drivers have yet to take tires yet today. The first driver on fresh Goodyears is that 6th place driver of Ashton Lawson, who continues to make moves in the number 24 Davey Allison throwback.
He wanted to extend throwback week, and now he's really feeling the power of Davey Allison as he's right onto the rear bumper of Brandon Barkowski. Backs up the corner a little bit, runs up the center, almost hits him right in the center. Both of them are actually catching Elliot Henderson and Zachary Henry ahead, as it really is starting to close up around the 2nd position now.
Not really closing up around the lead. Jake Miller continues to pull away. You're not missing anything up there. Miller's led every lap of the race so far in the number 4 machine. There you see him, Jake the Snake Miller, 3 seconds out in front of Nathan Nicholson, looking to go back-to-back at Richmond.
I wouldn't completely count out some of these other drivers, though, as quite a good number of them are running very similar lap times to our leader, and of course, we have drivers on fresher tires. Ashton Lawson just ran a 10th faster than our leader that last lap.
We'll have to see how this race goes and if they're able to keep it green so far in the longest green flag run tonight, as these drivers continue to battle around the 5th position. And it sounds like some drivers might be coming down pit road. Jake Miller is actually going to be the first one to come down pit road. And here comes Henderson and Barkowski as well. Some of those drivers that had yet to have taken tires are coming down pit road. And I was just mentioning how long this green flag run has been. Do we see possibly a caution with these drivers on pit road? That would be huge.
It would definitely be huge for these drivers who all came down pit road initially, as they're going to be able to have the lead with the longer fuel that they've had in the vehicle and be able to trap a lot of these guys a lap down.
One thing I did notice, the last 3 caution flags, one driver in particular has came down every single time to top off on fuel. And I bet you can guess which driver that is. The driver of the number 52, Ross Brockman. Let's see what he can do. He's going to probably stay out as long as he can and hope on a caution. He's had it happen for him multiple times just this season. Can he do it again here today?
Yeah, the difficult situation he's presented with is that, like we saw a couple weeks ago at Darlington, is that he tried to run longer on fuel strategy, but he just simply did not have the pace to be in any real contention for the front of the field. And tonight, even though he stayed out, he still is sitting in the 10th position. So right now, pace seeming to be the struggle.
There you see Gavin Fitzgerald in the number 14 machine, currently running in the 8th spot, looking to snag as many points as he can. Comes into this race 3 points outside of the round of 8 bubble. Christopher Heller is that driver on the bubble, and he's right there in front of him coming down pit road. Madalinas almost gets into the barrels. Good job from the number 9. I don't know if he was able to get it underneath speed, but very close for him.
Yeah, had he hit the pit barrels right there, that would have been absolutely disastrous for some of these drivers. And as I think I've also seen that 52 may have also been, no, my mistake. I am absolutely losing the cars all over the place as we're seeing people pitting left and right with a bunch of mixed cars throughout the field. I mean, this is what I was talking about with the long runs and strategy. I just wasn't expecting it to work out this way because of our cautions.
If a caution flag would to come out right now, we currently only have 12 drivers on the lead lap, and the only playoff drivers that are on the lead lap are Ross Brockman, Gavin Fitzgerald, Matthew Rodriguez, and Ashton Lawson. Of course, Lawson coming in on that last stop, but Rodriguez, Fitzgerald, and Brockman all either need to get points or need to get a victory tonight to get into the next round. So these drivers are really hoping on a caution. Now there's only 10 drivers on the lead lap as a couple more duck down pit road.
What I am going to be watching out for is we saw those drivers, they made it midway through 60 laps on fuel. Now, we did have a good number of cautions as well, but we could probably account for the fact that they probably saved anywhere from 2 to 4 laps on fuel. So we're expecting anywhere from 60 to a little bit before 60 lap runs on fuel, which means these guys who pit on the last caution are going to be going a long ways before they're going to have to pit again.
Be a while until we see those drivers come back down pit road, and that pit stop most likely will be the last pit stop if they stay green. Yeah, right now the way it's looking, Miller is going to lead the field most likely when we get through the pit window. Henderson currently running in that second spot. You have to keep in mind Henderson was one of those first drivers that came down pit road with Miller. Nicholson coming in a little bit later. Nicholson running in third right now out of those drivers that have already come down pit road, but we still need to finish up this pit window without a caution flag for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and the thing is, for these guys who all pit, I don't think they're going to be able to make it long enough to only do one more stop, and if so, it's going to be really, really close on fuel as they pit around lap 50-ish or so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going to only be able to make it around 110-ish.
The drivers came in on lap 60. Jake Miller and Elliot Henderson. Caution's out. There it is.
Doesn't matter anymore. Caution is out. Strategy's out the window. And everybody who just pit except our old leader, Jake Miller, is trapped a lap down.
I was looking at that incident, and it looked like Nicholson on the fresh tires actually got up into Hayes and literally wrecked him out of the way coming off of the corner. Very heavy contact, very aggressive move from the number 40 machine, and it's actually going to cost him. Now take another look at the replay here. Here you see Hayes on the older tires and Nicholson on the fresh tires. He wants Hayes to get out of the way, and he just moves him out of the way, and Hayes ends up spinning because of it. And this will end up putting the 40 most likely at the end of the longest line while he's also a lap down. So he will not be able to get a wave around even here, Alex.
Yeah, that's He's lucky to currently have a win in the bag because this would be a big hit for its point situation right there, being stuck a lap down while many of his competitors would be able to take a wave around. But this is a very interestingly timed caution, as now rather than having guys who are just barely going to be able to make it on one more stop with other guys who are a lot faster, everybody's going to have to be forced to make another one after this.
Very, very crazy indeed. And Brockman, once again, he stayed out and got rewarded for it. A lot of other drivers along with him as well, like Matthew Rodriguez. This is huge for someone like Rodriguez because now he's gonna have those fresh tires and most likely be in the top 5 here, Alex. This is huge for someone like him who needs a win.
Yeah, not only is he going to have fresh tires, but unless something catastrophically goes wrong in the pit stop, he's going to come out in 3rd position behind our current leader, Ashton Lawson. And he's only got to really focus on him for the playoff victory because he's going to be right at the front, going to have advantageous track position, and actually has had some pretty solid pace tonight, hung on to the top 10 for a good while there during that run.
Definitely some good laps right there, and Lawson's out in the front. He might have the fastest truck here tonight. We'll have to see. Now that he has the track position, we'll have to see what happens with him.
Well, as we're coming out of the pit stops, it's going to be a very, very chaotic one. A couple of drivers who were very lucky who did end up pitting that last time by is Elliot Henderson, who is going to get the lucky dog, being the first car lap down, so his race is not over with. And Jake Miller, who just barely managed to get his way back onto the lead lap before that caution had came out. So a lucky, lucky break for one of our strongest drivers here tonight. He's going to be able to continue from what looks to be right now the 9th position, so that's a good run for him. He's not going to be way buried in the middle of the pack as there were just so many cars stuck a lap down. And what I'm definitely looking at is, unlike many of the other drivers here at the front of the field tonight, RJ Williams had been up there. Now we've got Ashton Lawson, Matthew Rodriguez, Gavin Fitzgerald, Austin Moore, all those drivers that were stuck in the mid to back of the pack are now at the front of the field. They're going to have a lot cleaner air. They're going to have a lot more places to maneuver. And they're going to be able to negotiate traffic a lot better and manage their tires better. So I'm watching to see if they're going to be able to save their stuff and retain their track position.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of wave rounds here. This is gonna be insane. We're gonna see drivers running around here looking like it's green flag, trying to catch up to the field. A lot of drivers gonna get those laps back. And a couple of drivers with a very lucky break, like Lawson, Williams, Rodriguez, Fitzgerald, Austin Moore. All these drivers are gonna get track position now with the fresh tires.
Now, there is one thing that I am going to be very worried about for all those drivers who just came down pit road is that, and had to take the wave around, is that now they've got older tire. They're going to be run down by these leaders who have pretty significant pace. And if this run goes green, there's a high likelihood that they may get trapped a lap down purely off of just pace.
We'll have to see. And Henderson's going to the back of the pack here. The number 37 machine. I'm not sure what happened here.
Well, Elliot's the lucky dog, and the lucky dog goes end of the longest line. That is the advantage to being able to get a free pit stop while also being able to get your lap back.
Yeah, what I'm hearing here, it sounds like what the problem is here. He was already falling to the back, but now that the lap has gotten extended one more time, he has to fall behind that whole line of cars right there. So Henderson's at the very, very back here with that lucky dog as we're about to go green flag racing once again here after caution number 5, a little past halfway. Green flag is out for Ashton Lawson, and the number 24 gets a great restart and immediately jumps up in front of RJ Williams with Matthew Rodriguez not too far behind in that number 57.
A great start there for Ashton Lawson to be able to get position, but RJ Williams with a strong launch down into turn 1. He's going to be right on the leader's bumper as we're heading down through turns 3 and 4. The battle's for third right at the moment. Rodriguez looking to get the spot over Fitzgerald, it might be clear going into turn one. Yes, he will be. He's going to take a low entry and slot it down in there. All the leaders have gone single file. We have to go all the way back to about the 8th position where Jacob Hayes and Michael Senzi are battling. Mind you, Hayes, the driver that just spun, so that actually ended up working out well for him as he was on the lead lap at that time.
Yeah, I was going to say that there, Alex. Hayes actually got a good break after getting spun, because since he got spun and he was on the lead lap, caution came out, and he was one of those 10 drivers that had not yet come down pit road. That's a very, very good break for the number 69 of Hayes. As you see, Jake Miller, he's already moved himself up to the 6th position. He has an awfully fast number 4 machine here tonight.
Yeah, I'm very curious how the rest of the field is able to manage their tires to try and see if they could be competitive against him. Jake Miller had the advantage of clean air and track position early on, so he didn't have to try too hard to be able to save his stuff. He sends it up the inside of Austin Moore. Trying to get back to his spot now, he could use up a lot more of his stuff and really fall off at the back end here.
One driver I know that's really hoping this race goes green the rest of the way is a driver like Gavin Fitzgerald. Currently running in that 4th position. He's had a top 10, top 15 car, it looks like, throughout the night in the number 14 machine. Heller is the driver he's mainly competing with for that bubble spot. Heller coming into this race on the bubble in the number 11 machine. He's currently back in the 16th position on those older tires after getting the wave around. So I know Fitzgerald here is just hoping this race stays green the remainder of the way and he's able to stay out of trouble, because he could possibly end up in the round of 8.
Yeah, I mean, this was an absolutely monumentous caution for that battle on the playoff cut line, as Fitzgerald benefited greatly while Heller suffered massively. Heller's going to be hoping for another caution so that they could get back on equal tire again and get back through the field on that newer tire. But right at the moment, Fitzgerald has the advantage on not only track position, but on tire too.
He does indeed, Alex, as you see the battles on the racetrack. Here comes Lewis Woodall in the number 13. Going to get past Shane in the number 49 with Eric Kep not too far behind him. Eric Kep, Mr. Consistent, Mr. Pink, came into this race 7 points outside the cut line and 11th in the point standings. Kep needs to make up some points, and he has yet to do that here tonight.
Yeah, Eric Kef just seeming to have a day that he was hoping is just a little bit better for him. He's got to make up a good number of points to be able to make the next round, but just simply is not having the day that he needs. Qualified 12th, so he wasn't too far down in the pack, but has suffered greatly from that last caution, is now buried down in the 20th position with almost all of his playoff competitors ahead of him.
Have to make something happen if he wants to get into the next round. And at number 63, Mr. Pink looking at his onboard as he follows the number 49 right now, currently running in the 20th position right now. Ashton Lawson still leads the field, not missing anything up there. Williams in second, but Rodriguez is closed in on the top 2 in that 3rd position. I talked about it multiple times. He needs to win this race to get into the next round. He's been practicing all week for this race, trying to get himself into the round of 8. Can he do it here tonight? The driver, the number 57 for Sky Motorsports.
Yeah, still running his Kyle Busch throwback, which he ran at Darlington a couple weeks ago. A few of these drivers just feeling that throwback feel, and unlike the bad luck it's given him the last couple weeks, this night it's turning out well for him. He's sitting pretty strongly in the 3rd spot.
Don't look too far back. Jake Miller in that number 4 machine is making up time on these drivers. He's on those older tires, but yet he's still making up time, Jake Miller. He has so much speed tonight.
Yeah, initially he did start losing a bit of time to the leaders, but I think that might have been a play just to relax the tires up and save a little bit so that he could charge forward again. And so far it seems to be working, as the last couple laps he's ran a 10th faster than all 3 of our leaders.
Actually reading here that he might have actually been on the lead. He got back on the lead lap right before the caution flag came out. So that would make more sense if that was the case. The number 4 machine of Jake Miller, because he was right there, a lap down, close to getting his lap back when that caution flag came out. So he must have been able to get that lap back and get those fresh Goodyears, which is huge for Jake Miller because he's probably been the strongest truck all night. Jake the Snake looking to get up there to the race lead.
Well, see, that's the difference with Jake Miller is that prior to the caution, he actually did manage to get his lap back just prior to it coming out. The leaders were directly behind him at the time of the caution, so he managed to stay on the lead lap and pit with all the lead cars without suffering the end of the line penalty that the lucky dog would give the driver that we're looking at right now, Elliot Henderson, who's really struggled to make his way through the field as he's had to go through every single car to be where he is right now.
Yeah, Henderson might be a little frustrated. That number 37 machine, I did hear him over the radio a little bit, sound a little frustrated that he had to go to the very back of the field after all the drivers had waved around. That was just a killer for him. Now he's trying to make his way back up. He's worked his way back up to the 15th position, but can he get up to the top 10 to the top 5? As you see Hayes and Brockman battling it out here for what it looks like to be the 8th position behind Michael Sensi.
Yeah, Hayes right there looking to recover from a spin earlier on. Started off this run pretty strong. Didn't seem to carry it all the way through, but now he's starting to come back there at the back end as, oh my goodness, a lot of shuffling up there with Gavin Fitzgerald, Austin Moore, and Sensi. Fitzgerald's going to lose 2 spots here on this lap as Sensi is having a bit of connection issues.
Yeah, it looked like last time around in 1 and 2 that Gavin Fitzgerald was trying to give as much room as he could to the driver on his inside of Sensi and got up into the wall last time by. Sensi was able to get past. Now here comes Hayes underneath them as well, the number 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. Just looking to keep as many points as he can, maybe keep that race truck clean. He needs to stay in front of Heller if he wants to get himself into the next round, possibly.
Yeah, that damage is going to really affect you around this racetrack, especially right front. Makes you really tight, and that's tough to keep that right front cool when you start getting tight around this racetrack. As we also saw earlier as well, further up towards the front, Jake Miller had passed Matthew Rodriguez for the 3rd spot. Now he's trying to make up time on our leaders. He's on a mission back to the front, and it's unrelenting.
And Jake Miller looks awfully quick in the number 4 machine. Jake Miller in that Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Chevrolet, trying to get up to the top 2 of RJ Williams and Ashton Lawson, who are both putting down similar lap times. Lawson is able to put around a half second between himself and RJ Williams. Miller currently running around 0.2 quicker than them both. So Miller, at this pace, should catch up to these drivers in a few laps.
Yeah, I was expecting at least Ashton Lawson and RJ Williams to have a lot better long run pace, knowing where Jake Miller was on the last run. But they've started to fall off a bit, may have been battling a little bit too hard early, and now they're starting to suffer for it.
They are beginning to suffer for it right there. Looking on your screen, Henderson trying to make up more spots still. He's gotten himself up to the 14th position now trying to take away 13th from Robin Durr right here on the inside. The number 37 of Bobby Carter. Going to try to bring Barkuski through possibly. He's going to clear him off the corner, Robin Durr.
Yeah, Elliot's had some pretty strong pace here. Granted, we do have to remember that he is on newer tires compared to all the drivers immediately around him at the moment, but he's only about 10 seconds away from the leaders, and considering he had to go from the very back of the field almost all the way up to the top 10 as he makes slight contact with the lap car of Truesdale, nearly gets turned to the outside wall. He's been having some decent pace and should be able to get his way up into this lead pack soon.
I've been continuously keeping an eye on Ross Brockman and Gavin Fitzgerald because keep in mind, Brockman came into this race only 1 point behind Fitzgerald, so he can leapfrog both Fitzgerald and Heller and possibly get in to the round of 8. And Fitzgerald just seems to really be struggling in that 14 machine in the last few laps. I think he got into the wall last time by as well. Just seems to be really struggling right now.
Yeah, that's the real big problem around here at Richmond, is that once you get a little bit of right front damage, it just seems to compound, as it makes it so much harder to stay out of it. Unlike you may have at some other racetracks where you do have the room to move around and you do have the room to really stay away from the wall and keep the lap times up.
Over here, just try to keep those trucks off of the wall. That turn, coming off turn 2, the wall just kind of jumps out kind of jumps out at you. Here you see Eric Kep coming down pit road. I feel like might be just outside the fuel window. We did have a couple of caution flags at the beginning of the race where these drivers were able to save some laps on fuel. So Eric Kep might be able to make it to the distance from here. It'll be awfully close for that number 69. I mean, not number 69.
I think I would definitely call this to be a bit of an unscheduled stop here, as it's going to be extremely difficult for him to make it to the end from that point. He would have to be fuel saving right from the very start of this run, and even then, he would probably get lapped in the process, as we're seeing Elliot Henderson right on top of the leaders of the old tires of Barbagelata and Madalenas.
Henderson still making up spots. He's moved himself up to the 12th position, putting the pressure on Hunter Madalenas and William Barbagelata. I would also like to note that Nathan Nicholson did exit the race in the number 40 machine earlier after his incident with Hayes. He has retired from the event, and he will finish 29th, and we will see him next week for the round of 8, as he's one of those 8 competitors in the round of 8.
Well, don't stop now. Third spot, Jake Miller and RJ Williams. Miller's caught up, making the move to the inside, almost made contact as they were going around the lap car. These two duking it out for the second position right now. RJ Williams looks to be losing out as Jake Miller finishes the pass off of turn 4. One more to go, and Jake Miller will be back in the lead.
Jake Miller seems like he might have the fastest truck out there tonight, getting past Williams fairly easily. Now he's going after Lawson in the number 24, little under a second behind Ashton Lawson. Can he make up this time in these next few laps before these drivers possibly have to make their final green flag stop of the day here at Richmond?
Well, I think now we're closing in on the point where we could see some guys come in now and make it all the way to the end on one stop, but I think it might still be a little bit too early because of the tires to come in and do that. You kind of want to try and split this in half a little bit, or even try an interesting strategy of going long and then taking 2 tires in limited fuel to try and gain an advantage in the pit cycle.
I'm not sure what the strategy should be at this point. I would say you probably come in around maybe 50 laps, 55 laps to go, just so you have maybe fresher tires at the end of the run, because I expect a lot of these drivers to maybe come in 5 to 6, maybe even 7 laps. But at the same time, underneath that last pit window, we had the caution flag come out in the middle of the window. So do you maybe try to just go as long as you can and hope on a caution flag so you can get that track position?
Well, that's why I brought up the strategy of going long and taking 2, is that not only do you kind of protect yourself a little bit against cautions and make sure that you're still on the lead lap, but you can also try and retain some track position, as you're going to have a much shorter pit stop and be able to get out of the pit lane much faster than everybody else. Problem is that this high wear racetrack is that you're going to be losing a lot of time running those extra laps on the old tires. Well, doesn't matter anymore, Kyle, as the caution is out, and from this point onward, I think everybody can make it to the end.
Yeah, caution flag is out here at Richmond Raceway. Oh man, it might have been Brittle. I'm looking here, and it looked like Brittle was trying to come down pit road, and Robin Durr got into the back of him, and Brittle got sideways. I don't know if that was necessarily worthy of a caution flag, but got hit pretty hard and went sideways in turns 3 and 4 and was able to get down pit road, and then the caution flag came out.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what the actual cause of the caution itself was, but Brittle was definitely sideways there, as he got hit multiple times by Robin Durr, and then Durr was very, very slow down the front straightaway. I think him being slow down the front straight may have ended up causing it.
Well, caution flag is out nonetheless, with just inside of the pit window, so this should be the last pit stop of the day as the leaders are on pit road.
Oh, wait, no, Kyle, I think I have a correction here. I think the caution was for Lewis Woodall in turn 3, lap 113. He went sideways fully into the corner.
See right here on the replay, here's Lewis Woodall in the number 13 machine, the possible cause of the caution right here. Lewis Woodall, driver with the number Pepsi, number 13, gets sideways into the corner and self-spins into the outside wall. Gets back going immediately, but that is going to bring out a caution every time. And that is the deal with the caution flag. And while that was going on, we had pretty much a photo finish coming off pit road. Ashton Lawson was first off pit road, beating off Jake Miller. Very close race there.
And that's a big one for him, as Jake Miller has definitely had the advantage on the longer runs. So the only thing Ashton Lawson can really hope for is some good track position and hope that essentially he can battle with Miller and force his long runs to really slow down, as it just seems that he's unstoppable once they get 20 to 30 laps into a run.
And that truck you see in front of Ashton Lawson is going to get the wave around, it looks like. And that's Eric Kep. I mentioned him, came into this race 11th in points, needed to snag some points to get into the next round. And he ended up getting stuck a lap down when that caution flag came out. Now he's going to be hoping on this wave around and possibly another caution flag to maybe get on even tires with the number 63 machine.
Yeah, and as well what this caution does is, remember we were talking about the struggles of Gavin Fitzgerald after he hit the wall. He still had the advantage of being on newer tires versus the people he's battling with in the playoffs. Well, not anymore, as this caution has brought everybody down pit road. Christopher Heller, who he's battling to make it into the next round, is only a few spots behind him.
You also have to keep in mind, Ross Brockman was only 1 point behind Fitzgerald coming into this race. Brockman currently running in that 7th position. He's gotten kind of up there when it comes to his certain strategies that he likes to pull week in and week out. It's given him phenomenal track position here in the 7th position with drivers like Sensi and Moore and Rodriguez in front of him. He might be able to even try to get himself up into the top 10, and that would be Ross Brockman in the number 52. Came into this race 4 points behind Christopher Heller for that final cutoff spot.
Yeah, I had not even accounted for that one as well, because Ross Brockman so far today has really relied on that strategy to put him in the position that he's in, and I am very worried because early on in the race, Christopher Heller definitely had a significantly better pace than some of his competitors, and being only 4 points apart, he's only got to be within 4 points to meet it.
Green flag is out once again, possibly for the last time. Can we go green to the finish here on lap number 120 of 175 after caution number 6? Lawson with a phenomenal restart. Williams going to try to take away the second position from Miller coming out of turns 1 and 2. Miller able to get the run on the high side, and the battle is on for second.
We've seen the bottom win out time and time again. This could be a crucial spot for Miller as he gets a really big run around the top, but is still going to be to the outside heading into turn 1. This is where you lose a lot of time, but he's able to roll the center, and RJ Williams gets loose. That's going to allow Miller to possibly clear him into 3. He will.
Oh,
And
caution is out. There's Robin Durr. Woo! Kyle Hall barely makes it past. Phenomenal avoidance. There goes Bosnow into the inside wall. Now that's some crispy KFC right there.
Ah, man. Absolute disaster for a couple of these drivers here. Didn't seem like there was too much place for Fasnaugh to go, as he was expecting that car to be stuck around the high side, ended up rolling down the track into him.
We're going to take another look at the incident. It looks like Robin Durr, once again, we've seen it time and time again here today, coming off turn 2. And he goes flying up, and look at Hall's reactions. Kyle Hall in that number 87 with the phenomenal reactions, and Robin Durr started to put the truck back into gear, and Fosnow was not expecting that at all. We're going to take an onboard look at Kyle Hall here in a minute, but got a feel for Fosnow, just really had nowhere to go. Here we are going to take a look at Kyle Hall. Whew, barely made it past.
I'm convinced he hit him there. There's no way. There's no way that he got that close and didn't hit him. That is absolutely incredible there from Kyle Hall to be able to make it past that wreck.
Could have put a post-it note in between those two trucks right there. Gonna take another look at it here from Robin Durr's onboard camera, and you're gonna see it right here. He just kind of loses it off the corner. He tries to turn to the right, but just goes flying into the inside wall at a very high speed in the number 23 machine. And right there, that was the big mistake right there. Put it back into gear, and Fosnow was not expecting that, and hit Fosnow right in the hood, and Fosnow's truck is pretty much killed after that.
Yeah, that's just something that you don't really do. You gotta wait for the field to come by before you try and roll out of a wreck. You never know where some guy's gonna try to avoid. And, every time I look at this wreck, I'm pretty sure he definitely hit him at least a
No, he
little
didn't.
bit there.
No, he didn't.
Just a little
No,
bit.
he didn't.
You see it getting knocked over. All right.
I just really want to give it to him. That was amazing reactions right there from Kyle Hall. Whether he barely touched him or not, phenomenal reaction from the number 87 of Kyle Hall getting through that incident. He's already faced his troubles here today. I was going to say, right before that caution flag came out, you've been saying how the inside line has prevailed time and time again on these restarts. Right before that caution came out, I was going to say, Jake Miller hasn't been the guy on the high side. Jake Miller being the guy on the high side of RJ Williams was able to get the job done. Really shows how much speed he has in the number 4 machine tonight. He really wants to snag that championship. I remember last season, he drove a truck all season that said the season 4 champion on it, and he didn't end up getting the season 4 championship. The driver in front of him, Ashton Lawson, did. So I know he really wants to get it this year.
Yeah, and he's making a pretty strong statement for it so far in this first round. I'm very interested to see if he's able to carry it in through the rest of the season, as there have been a lot of other competitors with some good strength throughout various racetracks across the schedule, but it looks as though if we go to a racetrack with a lot of tire wear, Jake Miller is the man to beat.
Yeah, Miller just really, he has some tracks Miller is just super strong at. He's strong pretty much anywhere we go, but every once in a while he just puts out a phenomenal performance like he has here today at Richmond. Whether he ends up in victory lane here today or not, he's definitely put on a show in that number 4 machine. We will see him in the next round, in the round of 8, starting next week at Kansas Speedway here on the Flatout Racing Network. But 1 lap to go till green. And it looks like Lawson has decided on the inside lane, which will put Jake Miller on the high side. And right behind him is that number 57 of Matt Rodriguez, who needs to win a race to get into the next round. So I expect maybe see some aggression here on this upcoming restart, maybe to give himself good track position for the remainder of the race. Here comes the iRacing pace truck down pit road once again. And Lawson with the restart immediately gets in front of Miller. Miller's going to drop down in front of Williams. But Williams gets a good restart. Miller hasn't quite dropped down yet, and Williams is actually going to have the inside lane coming into the corner.
Williams got to make sure he doesn't get loose on corner exit like he did last time. He gets a decent run there. He'll have a big advantage heading down to turn 3 as there's Calamity further back behind him. Got to make sure he's able to keep even with him, as once again it's the same as last restart. But this time, can RJ Williams get out of turn 2 and keep the rear end underneath him, as that's where he really lost out. Holds the yellow line, keeps the power down, and they're still racing for second.
Rodriguez right in behind him. I know he wants to get past both these drivers as quick as possible and try to compete for this victory and get himself into the round of 8. Rodriguez had such a strong regular season. Looked like possibly a top 5 contender throughout the whole season, maybe even a championship contender. But these last 2 weeks he has struggled, and he really needs to get a good finish at least to give himself a shot to get into the next round. Sensi makes the save to the inside. He's going to send it in the corner, gets into Madalinas. Madalinas into the outside wall.
Is he going to be able to save it? No, he's going to stop it on track just barely for a second. That's going to bring out the caution. And that battle we were looking at for a second up there, Jake Miller's going to be able to hold on to it for now. But man, those guys must have used up a lot of tire for that.
That was crazy. We're going to have to take another look at that one. But it looked like initially Sensi almost self-spun off turns 1 and 2 and went all the way down into 3 and 4 and was trying to save it and just slid all the way up the racetrack into 3 and 4. Just had no grip with that low of an entry at a track like Richmond. A flat surface down there at the bottom of the racetrack, and he just slid all the way up the racetrack. Gonna take another look at it here. Almost spins it off the corner. You see how low he is on the racetrack. You see how flat it is down there, and he immediately slides up to the racetrack right into the door of Madalinas, who's trying to save it, ends up stopping on the racetrack right there. Almost gets hit by King Cotton, the number 6.
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the race I mentioned how it's really hard to gauge the entry of turn 3 while you're inside of somebody. Now imagine that, but you're all the way up against the inside wall. We very clearly see that Sensi kind of braked a little bit too late there and overshot the corner. Did a good job to hold it as low as he could, just didn't hold it low enough in that situation.
We got something pretty big happening underneath this caution flag. We got a split field when it comes to coming down pit road. We had a lot of drivers stay out, but we also had a lot of drivers come down pit road, including Jake Miller, who came down pit road. It looked like Lawson was going to maybe come down pit road. He faked and came back out. And same thing with RJ Williams. RJ Williams looked like he was going to follow Jake Miller in, and right when Miller hit that line, RJ Williams jumped up high and tricked the number 4. Miller might have been coming in for tires either way, though. We've seen how much speed he has. He'll be restarting most likely around 15th place here.
I mean, we've already seen him drive up through the field, but it took him a good bit to be able to do that. Took him around about 30 to 40 laps to do so. Now, while we do have just about that much time left, and he's going to be on even newer tires this time, my struggle is going to be that now, rather than only having to pass about 8 cars, he's having to pass 13 plus.
Looks like we had a couple of drivers change their mind right there, and a couple of drivers came down pit road, seeing how many actually came down. And Miller has been able to move himself up to looks to be the 13th position at the moment. And you were saying it, Alex, he already drove through the field once when he was on even tires. Now he's on around 15 laps, fresher Goodyears in that number 4 machine. Is he able to get up through the field and compete for the win once again? And I'm really looking at the front at this point, because we're going to have Matthew Rodriguez up here, possibly on the bumper of Ashton Lawson on this restart. Does he get aggressive with Ashton Lawson and maybe try to take the race lead if he gets a good restart here?
Well, that's what he's going to be hoping for. He's hoping to get a better restart than some of his other competitors have had tonight. Be closer to that leader and be able to pull up side by side heading down into turn 1. A lot of our drivers tonight have had to really contend it into 1 before they could really start to race side by side. So if he could get that on the initial start, he may have a good chance of getting second spot.
We could possibly have a big shift in the playoffs, because 7th and 8th coming into this race, Shane Nicewanger and Christopher Heller both came down pit road underneath that caution flag. They're currently in 15th and 16th. And then you have Gavin Fitzgerald, Ross Brockman, and Eric Kep. Gavin Fitzgerald currently running in 7th. Ross Brockman currently running in 5th. Eric Kep was able to get back on the lead lap, get that caution flag, and he's up in 11th right now. So those 3 drivers are awfully close to Shane and Christopher Heller right now to get into the round of 8.
And as of right now, I'm looking at it, it looks very likely that of Gavin Fitzgerald and Ross Brockman to make it, if it were to end now, it looks like Brockman would make it, as he would gain 2 extra points over Fitzgerald. So that could be another battle we have to look at between those 2.
Battles for points, as we're going to go green flag racing once again. Just under 40 laps remaining here at Richmond Raceway. A great restart from Lawson. Rodriguez did not look ready at all on the inside. He might even lose the 3rd position to Barbagellata coming into the corner.
Yeah, that was most definitely not an ideal restart for him. Just was not ready on the throttle. Almost seems like he's stuck on the inside rather than liking to be on the inside. Loses the spot to Barbagellata and is under some pressure now from Jacob Hayes behind, as we're seeing the new tires of Jake Miller have to sift through the field, but runs into the back of Aiden DuPont. That could deal some damage and really slow his advance.
Oh, but DuPont came back and hit him in the door, and Miller's going to save it on the inside. A phenomenal save from Jake the Snake. He's going to continue on. He's been the fastest truck all night. Does he still have time to get back up to the front?
This is what the other competitors want to see. Fastest car in the night with damage and problems, as I think the newest tires right now are on Shane Nicewanger, another competitor looking to make it to the next round, but he's battling with Elliot Henderson.
I'm not sure if Aiden DuPont was trying to get into the corner or if that was maybe a little retaliation on the number 4. DuPont has been having a career night. He was running in the 9th position before contact with Jake Miller. Now he's back to 14th.
I definitely want to watch the battle between these 2, as that could be crucial to who makes it where, as I'm seeing another battle up ahead of Zachary Henry and Fitzgerald battling it out, and looks like Fitzgerald as well is going to get around Ross Brockman around the outside. He's going to have the advantage on points, so if Heller finishes a little bit further back, he may make it to the next round, but loses it coming out of turn 2. Brockman comes back at him.
Here comes Nicewanger and Heller on Brockman and Fitzgerald. Those are our 4 bubble boys right now, looking to make it in to the round of 8. And Henderson's going to try to squeeze Nicewanger. There's no space there for Henderson. Henderson's going to make the save and gets it.
Oh, no!
He turns him. He turns him.
Oh, no! Calamity for 2 playoff contenders right at the front of the new tires. They make contact, both of them getting loose and one of them spinning.
Shane was on the bubble coming into this race, 7th in the point standings, and it looked like Henderson was trying to possibly clear himself going into the corner, but there was no space down there. Nicewanger kept on moving down and down, and Henderson saved it and then got into Nicewanger. I don't know if that was retaliation or if he had just lost and got back into Nicewanger there.
This is disastrous for Shane Nicewanger, as he was only 3 points above the line. He needed to have a decent day and just make sure that he managed it to the drivers behind, but with this contact, it's gonna lose him a ton of spots and give him significant damage.
Wow, and this is huge for the playoffs. Going to take a look at 8th in the points coming into this race. Championship contender Christopher Heller, as see what he saw going into turns 1 and 2. There you see him, Christopher Heller right behind him, and Henderson continues to try to come down, and there's just no space there. And Henderson comes right back up into Nicewanger, gets him into the door, and Nicewanger goes spinning into the outside wall. The winner on the dirt earlier this season. His truck is a little damaged now.
Yeah, and prior to that as well, I was just about to make a comment on the front end damage on Elliot Henderson, but then they started wrecking, so I'm assuming he's got a bit more than just front end damage now, as he got passed by a couple of the drivers he was fighting with.
Some very, very intense battling. I'm not a lot of happy drivers in this server right now. I've been hearing some of these discussions, and not a lot of happy drivers. Definitely some short track racing going on here tonight. And it's not just short track racing, it's a cut-off race as well. So you know a lot of these drivers are definitely feeling the pressure and are a little anxious for the end of this race to see where they're at in points.
Well, now the battles that I'm going to be looking at for the transfer after all that's happened tonight looks like it might end up being between Shane Nicewanger, Fitzgerald, and also Brockman for the advanced spot, as Brockman's ahead of Fitzgerald, which would give him an extra point on him, making them even, so they'd have to go to a tiebreaker. But Nicewanger, it has to be 6 positions back, which as of right now, he is.
This is just huge for points. This is going to be a crazy last few laps potentially. We're just under 30 laps remaining here at Richmond Raceway here on caution number 9 here today. If you guys are just joining us, it is a cutoff race, and a lot of our bubble boys, a lot of our bubble drivers here are getting into some incidents here late. You see Rodriguez, I've mentioned him throughout the show. He needs to get to victory lane, currently running in that 4th position. Last time he restarted 3rd. He was in a better position last time, but depending on this restart, he might be able to get himself in position and maybe even get a little aggressive with some of these guys and possibly put himself into victory lane. He's had a top 5, top 10 car throughout the night.
Yeah, he's been up there. It's just has struggled to make up spots on this restart. He's been relatively weak on these restarts so far. Seemed to have lost out. He's looking to change that now that he's sitting there on the outside. He could battle Barbagelata if he doesn't manage to get a good start on the bottom. But as of right now, he's just a little bit off on these restarts to be able to make up the spots he needs to take a win away. Here
they come into turns 3 and 4. We're going to go green flag racing once again here after caution number 9 here on lap number 147 of 175. A good restart from Lawson, but that might have been one of the best, if not the best, restart from the opposing lane. As Williams is right there, he's almost within striking
big
distance.
contact! Barbagelata goes around off the nose of Barkuski. Oh my goodness!
He's not safe either. He comes into this race only 6 points above the cut line. That is huge right there. William Barbagelata, possibly the hottest driver in the Great Lakes Truck Series heading into the playoffs, could possibly be eliminated tonight. That's a decent amount of damage on the number 27 machine.
Well, luckily for him, the drivers he would need to contend with have had some troubles here tonight, but because of that caution, I think I'm seeing that Ross Brockman has now made his way up to about 10th, if not just slightly behind Brandon Barkuski, who is going back around him. But yeah, no, it looks like Brockman is going to be in 10th, which could spell some trouble for Shane Nicewanger or William Barbagelata.
It sounds like Brandon Barkuski will go to the end of the longest line for that incident with William Barbagelata. Definitely an aggressive move. I don't know if he was trying to maybe bump him out of the way. We're going to take the look here at the onboard camera here on the restart. You see Barkuski right in behind Mr. Excitement, sends it in the corner, gives him a hefty bump right there, and Barbagelata just kind of loses it, and the number 27 gets hit in the door fairly hard.
Yeah, it just seems like once he bumped him, I don't know, just didn't want to let off, I suppose, and just kept going with it until Barbagelata eventually went all the way around there. Didn't really seem to give him too much of a shot to save that race car.
Gonna take another angle here, another look at it. Here you see William Barbagelata and Brandon Barkuski coming into turns 1 and 2. William Barbagelata, Mr. Excitement, trying to get into the round of 8. Slows up into the corner, and Barkuski just gets him into the bumper. Great job from Rodriguez with those reactions. Henderson as well, able to jump up to the high side and avoid that. Because if either of those drivers got that hefty nose damage from that, they could possibly have blown their motor and ended their championship hopes right then and there. Henderson's not technically safe either. He comes into this race 13 points above the cut line.
Yeah, let's just give credit to all the drivers who managed to avoid that incident. They were wrecking right in the middle of the corner, and every single driver managed to get their way around it without making any extra contact. So, I mean, that was just some great driving from the rest of the field there to miss it.
I'd like to give a little shout out to Mr. Jacob Hayes. He's been involved in a couple of incidents today. He's been spun around at least 2 times, and he's currently running in 4th. What a performance from him, no matter what happens here today. He has definitely been the driver that has gained the most spots today, and he's probably lost the most spots today as well.
And look at the driver just behind him, Elliot Henderson, bit of nose damage, had a pretty good run early on, was making up a lot of spots on restarts, and is the current highest sitting driver who took tires last time we had a caution at the end of a run. And so he is in a really good spot to try and steal a win away here.
Yeah, drivers up near the front. Henderson might be one of the fastest, if not the fastest. Lawson's definitely shown his speed, but he's also had that track position. We haven't really seen Lawson outside of the race lead ever since he got there. Track position seems to be a big key because it gives you that advantage on the restarts and it gives you that clean air.
It looks like the drivers are gonna go ahead and get it lined up 2 wide here for another restart that so far has pretty much been the Richmond special of these guys figure it out for a good while, get some green flag runs in, and then especially towards the end of it, it just goes fully chaotic as everybody's trying to get every little bit of track position they can.
Gonna go green flag racing with just over 20 laps remaining here at Richmond Raceway here on caution number 10. We're in the Patti Engineering 175, the cutoff race for the round of 12. And Lawson with a good restart. Williams is ready for it. Williams is within a truck length right there. Rodriguez is going to go on the inside of Williams, though, here in 1 and 2, possibly. Can Williams cut down in front of him? He will. The 21 will hold on to second for now, and the battle is on for third between Rodriguez and Hayes, and Henderson's not too far behind as well in the 37.
That was about the best restart I think I've seen from Matthew Rodriguez so far this race. Zachary Henry contending strongly against Elliot Henderson. It's kind of slowing both of these drivers down in their advance towards the front of the field. But, I mean, they're 2 wide, 3 rows deep here, as now they've settled it out for the 4th, 5th spot, as it's still raging for the 3rd spot.
Rodriguez came so close to clearing Hayes off turns 1 and 2, and he wasn't quite able to and had to back off a little bit. He's going to end up losing the spot to Hayes going into 1 and 2 because of that. Hayes into the 3rd spot. Now Rodriguez is under attack from Elliot Henderson, who's on his outside, coming out of turns 1 and 2.
Elliot just needs to try and make these passes as quickly as possible, as right now we're seeing the battle with Ross Brockman doing a phenomenal job of making his way up to the 6th position as Henry gets a little bit into the wall, opens up the door for Madalinas to go up the inside. Brockman making a strong statement to put himself into the next round, was 4 points below the cutoff. With his competitors having a lot of issues, he's in a prime position to make the next round.
And Shane Nicewanger and William Barbagelot are currently running in the 16th and 20th position, coming into this race 6th and 7th in points, only 6 and 3 points above the cut line, those two. Gavin Fitzgerald, just to give you an update on him, currently running in the 14th position after losing a couple of spots on the restart.
And, I mean, look at Ross Brockman right now. I must have missed when he took tires because he's got some really, really good pace going around the outside of Rodriguez as Elliot Henderson goes up the inside of Jacob Hayes for 3rd ahead of him. 2 wide, 2 rows deep here. Madalina's taking it around the outside of Rodriguez there. Rodriguez needed the win, but Brockman got in the wall there a little bit, stacked it up on the outside. Managed to keep it going. No wreck ensued as they're battling ahead for 2nd. Jacob Hayes in the wall. He's going to go around. Elliot Henderson knocked him up into the outside wall, and he goes spinning across the field. Oh, man, another unfortunate break there for Jacob Hayes.
I'm telling you what, being in the booth over here, I would not want to be near Henderson right now. Henderson racing very, very hard in that 37 machine, is able to get up into the 3rd spot. But for that incident there, most likely he will get an end of the longest line penalty for that, putting Hayes up into the wall very hard coming out of the corner. And there you see it once again. Jacob Hayes in the number 69 going around. You have to feel for Jacob Hayes. He's ran a phenomenal race, and all the wrecks that he's been involved in are none of his own. He's gotten up to the top 5 multiple times. You have to feel for the number 69 machine.
Man, that's just such a massive break for Jacob Hayes. He had a good job recovering from his problems early on in the race, but now with some pretty significant damage, getting into the wall and being spun across the field, his chances for a good finish now are quite dashed. But one of the grand beneficiaries was right behind him there. Narrowly missed Jacob Hayes was Ross Brockman up to the 4th position, having a phenomenal run as the race nears its end to make the next round on points.
And this might get crazy here. It looked like a lot of drivers are going to come down pit road, but almost all of them faked. And it left Rodriguez and Henry on pit road, and they're going to have a lot fresher tires than the rest of the field. Almost 40 to 50 laps fresher tires than Ashton Lawson and RJ Williams, but they're not going to have very much time to get through the field.
I mean, they're pretty much just hoping that the tires are going to be fast enough for them to bulldoze their way through that field, as it's going to take a good while for them to be able to make up all that track position with so few laps left by the time they go green.
Just looking at these drivers' tires, currently out of the drivers in the top 10, the driver with the freshest tires is Ross Brockman, who pit around 20 laps ago. Same thing with Hunter Madalinas and Jake Miller. They're all on the same strategy, pit around 20 laps ago. But now with Miller up here in the 7th position, possibly with the freshest tires up here in the top 10, can he make something happen in that number 4 machine? We've seen his speed all night long. He still has time to get up there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him sideways on a restart, nearly wrecking going through turns 1 and 2. He's recovered quite well to get up to the 7th spot. Now, I do have to remind you that he does have a little bit of front-end damage, which definitely has to be affecting him a little bit, but so far having a good run, making his way back up through the field, as most of the guys on newer tires are going to be up on the inside lane for this restart.
Lawson going to restart out front. Williams restarting in second. Currently, Henderson running in the third spot. Brockman right there in fourth. Ross Brockman might be on the... I think he just seems like he has a lot of speed. He is on the freshest tires, technically. He just showed off a lot of speed in the number 52 machine. Does he possibly get aggressive or not?
I mean, if Ross Brockman sniffs a win, which he's in a really good position to get right now, is that outside lane has seemed really strong later on in this race to be able to slot back in on this track position, especially for those guys on the newer tires. They've been using it quite well to make passes. If Ashton Lawson gets a big jump and RJ's able to slot in on the bottom fast enough, that could just leave a brand spanking new open lane for Ross Brockman to pretty much fly past all these guys. So we could see a pretty significant lead change here at the finish of this race.
Looks like Henderson will be able to hang on to that third position. A good break from the number 37 machine. He'll be able to keep himself in the race here. Half a lap from Green Flag Racing here. Going to go green flag with 10 laps remaining here at Richmond Raceway. Lawson leading the field. Williams on the high side. Henderson on the inside and Brockman on the outside. Let's see what happens here on the restart. And Lawson with a great restart. And Henderson going to check up Madalenas behind him. Not a good restart from the 37.
Yeah, and look, exactly like I said, RJ Williams slots in low. That leaves the lane open for Ross Brockman to go around the outside of Elliot Henderson. He's going to try and get the third position here on this restart. If he could get the third spot and the caution were to come out, he's prime position on the inside to get second, but he's not going to be able to clear Elliot. Going to actually get passed by Madalenas, as we're seeing just behind them as well, Jake Miller battling with Christopher Heller for the spot. All these guys on the newest tires up here at the front of the field.
New tires here, and Brockman's going to dive to the inside of Madalenas. Brockman has to make sure he's able to keep his car clean, because currently, if the race would end right now, he would be into the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think Brockman has to be thinking about that right now, as he's got a significant advantage over the people he's battling with. Shane Nicewanger is stuck back in the pack really deep, trying
Brockman
to make
almost
spots. And my goodness, I don't know how safe he's taking it right now, but I think he's got to realize that he's into the next round if he finishes where he finishes, because his competitors are at such a massive disadvantage right now.
Battling up here at the front, trying to snag those last few points before we finish up the round of 12. Gavin Fitzgerald, he's trying to snag as many points as he can. He sees Heller in front of him. He knows that Heller was on the bubble coming into this race. Does he possibly get aggressive with them and maybe try to snag some more points?
It's so extremely tough right now. I think for Heller, where he finishes right now relative to his competitors...
And Brockman gets turned by Woodall! Oh my goodness! Lewis Woodall just turned Ross Brockman! You hate to see it!
Playoff implications for Ross Brockman. He was into the next round if he finished in that spot, but he gets turned around now to turn 2.
You hate to see it for Ross Brockman. Was running a phenomenal race. Was going to probably lock himself into the next round. You're going to see the replay here. Woodall sends it into the corner and gets right into the back of the 52. And that's going to kill his chances of getting into the next round.
Oh, man. That's just... Oh, that's heartbreaking for Ross Brockman. He's normally a driver that relies heavily on the pit strategy and fuel saving to get the victories, but here tonight he looked to have some really good pace here right at the back end. But with just over braking there by Lewis Woodall into turn 1, gets into the left rear of Brockman and turns him around. Just absolute calamity for his playoff chances.
You hate to see it right there. Ross Brockman most likely going to be missing out on the round of 8 now after that incident with Lewis Woodall. Woodall getting up into the back of him, going into the corner. You hate to see it. Ross Brockman ran a perfect race when it came to strategy and put himself in a position not to just lock himself into the next round, but possibly even snag a win here late on those fresher tires. And now Brockman's at the back of the pack, along with a couple of other drivers who have had their issues here late. Playoff drivers, Nicewanger and Barbagelata, have been able to move themselves up a decent amount of positions.
Well, now because of all that's happened so far tonight, it seems as though the drivers who came into this race above the line may end up being the drivers who advance, as I'm not seeing who else might be able to make it in. Closest thing I could see right now is the battle between Fitzgerald and Nicewanger, who are about 6 points apart. And right at the moment, Fitzgerald's in 7th and Nicewanger is in 12th, so he'd be about 1 spot off of jumping him into the playoffs.
It's all going to come down to a green-white checkered here, it looks like. This is just how this season has been. We're going to have a maximum 3 attempts at a green-white checkered here. Ashton Lawson will lead him to the green. RJ Williams 2nd. Henderson 3rd. Madalena's 4th. This could get really insane here.
Yeah, we are definitely going to have to watch the positions of Gavin Fitzgerald and of Shane Nicewanger. As being only 5 positions apart, there is an opportunity for Gavin to gain 1 or Shane to lose 1, and that could change who ends up making the next round. Problem is, Nicewanger is on the new tires, so he will have a significant advantage going on to this next run to the end.
Let's see if we have 1 to go this time by. These drivers seem ready to go back racing already, and the lights are out on the pace car. 1 to go here. What happens here? Just to give you an update on the Bubble Boys, we got William Barbagelata coming into this race 6 points above the cut line, running in 10th. You have Shane Nicewanger, who is 3 points above the cut line, running in 12th. You have Christopher Heller, who was on the bubble coming into tonight. He is running in 6th. You have Gavin Fitzgerald, who is 3 points out. He's currently running in 7th. You have Ross Brockman, who was just caught up in that last incident. He's all the way back in the 20th position. And to give you an update on Eric Kep, he's also running in the 11th position, 7 points outside. And if this gets really crazy here at the end, Eric Kep might be sitting very pretty if a couple of these Bubble Boys get wrecked out. And there goes Lawson. Green flag is out. 2 laps remaining here at Richmond Raceway.
Big jump there for Ashton Lawson. I thought Elliot was going to get to the inside of RJ. Front end damage. It looks like it slowed him down on the straight. RJ's going to slot in. Madalena's round the outside of turn 2. He may even clear him
off the corner, and he's going to save it. Will we get to the white flag?
Oh, they're wrecking down in turn 3. Oh, we're going to get another caution here.
Right before Lawson gets to the line. Lawson was less than 100 feet from the line. Caution flag is out. Oh my goodness, this is huge.
Oh my god, I think I just saw Ross Brockman go to space on the front straightaway. Oh my goodness, what did I just see?
I'm going to have to look back at that. Ross Brockman just having no luck here today. Here we are. Take a look at the replay. Makes contact with Hayes. And the iRacing gods do not like Ross Brockman because he went flying high up in the air, flying higher than Wiz Khalifa. Oh my goodness.
Last season, we had made a joke about a driver being on a NASA space test flying over top another car. Well, we just saw the NASA space test live on the front straightaway of the Ross Brockman as we're seeing the contact in turn 3. 3 wide, Rodriguez, a playoff contender who needed the win today, stuck in the back, gets involved. Austin Moore was turned on the outside of the 3 wide with Zachary Henry. And, just absolute calamity for all of these drivers.
A couple of laps ago, we were possibly talking about Ross Brockman being in victory lane, and now he's the newest member of SpaceX. You hate to see it for the number 52 machine. Here you see all this heavy racing off the corner. 3 wide going into the corner, and it looked like Zachary Henry actually got him in the door. Rodriguez also spun around in the number 57 machine. And then here's the incident with Hayes and Brockman. I don't know what happened here. I don't know why Brockman came down into Hayes. I don't know what happened between those two. But then Brockman just gets sent up into the air super high, like he just got hit by Barry Bonds. You hate to see it for the 52 machine.
Well, I suppose sometimes we see the unbelievable here at Richmond Raceway. This seems to be an almost cursed, maybe even blessed racetrack for crazy incidents. But, I mean, there is one driver who may be a little bit glad to see a bunch of them, and that's Ashton Lawson, our leader. He's pretty much just been able to get the jump on the restart, lead for the next lap, and then immediately get a caution again. He may just walk his way into victory purely off track position.
Yeah, this is just going to get even crazier here. We're going to have a green-white checkered attempt number 2 here within the next few moments. Lights are still on the pace car. It's going to be, I think it's 2 laps to green this time by. Most likely get the 1 to go that next time by. Lawson in the lead. Madalinas in second. RJ Williams in third. Elliot Henderson in fourth. And then look in fifth, you have Jake Miller on the fresher tires. He's been pretty dominant throughout the evening, running in fifth. And then you have a couple of bubble boys. You got Fitzgerald, Heller, and Kep in 6th, 7th, and 8th. Nicewanger back in 10th, and Barbagelata back in 11th. All 5 of those drivers are within 6 spots of each other. This is going to get insane.
We're going to have to now be looking at Hunter Madalena sitting there in the 3rd position on the newest tires of the guys up front. Jake Miller behind him on pretty equal tires to him as well. This may be the biggest threat Ashton Lawson has had for the lead so far for the last 50 or so laps. And for Ashton Lawson, he's got to be sweating in that cockpit. He's got to have a very, very good restart to pull away from Hunter Madalenas and hope that RJ Williams can slot in ahead of him.
We'll see what happens here. The lights are out. We're going to get the green flag here coming off turns 3 and 4 once again. Lawson with the good restart. Williams was actually a little bit ahead of Lawson before he got the jump, so he was able to stay within a good distance on the number 24. Madalenas! Oh, is right there underneath Williams. It looked like Williams might have gotten Lawson a little bit in the bumper, but Lawson's going to continue on. And now it's in the wall with Heller. Heller's in the wall hard. This is huge. And Fitzgerald gets through it on the inside.
Zachary Henry! One of our playoff contenders, Zachary Henry, who's above the line, is backwards down the back straight.
Zachary Henry coming into this race, 17 points to the good, and it looked like he just got towed down pit lane. He's not technically safe. It's very close for the number 12 if he's out of this race at this point. We're going to take another look at this incident here. It looked like Miller was driving very hard off of the corner and might have made contact with Christopher Heller.
Yeah, just some 3-wide racing here in the mid-pack. Fitzgerald needs to battle as hard as he can to get positions so that he can advance to the next round, as Nicewanger behind him, who he's battling with, is right there within the distance. Oh, Eric Kepf and Barbagelata. Oh, we may need to watch Barbagelata, as he's another driver who's only 6 points above the line.
A lot of playoff drivers involved in this incident, and we might have some races over for some of these drivers, including maybe Zachary Henry in the number 12 as he's already gone a lap down, currently running in the 20th position. Here you see heavy contact with Eric Kep, very heavy contact to that front nose. Oh my goodness, a lot of damaged race cars here, a lot of playoff contenders taken out in this one. We're going to take the onboard look at Zachary Henry.
Well, Zachary Henry's in the pit lane right now getting some of the damage fixed. Don't know how severe it is, as he did hit pretty hard. He's going to go a lap down. Could possibly have required repairs, which could put him down even more positions. This may end up working out beautifully there for Gavin Fitzgerald, who was indirectly involved. Well, he just got an EOL penalty, so he's not going to benefit at all. The admin has brought the hammer down. He is most likely not going to advance unless some miracle happens for him.
I'm personally very conflicted by this. We had a very similar incident a few laps ago with Henderson. He put Hayes up into the wall. He did not get end of longest line penalty. looked like here was very similar. Fitzgerald got up into Miller, and then Miller got into Heller, causing the incident.
Yeah, it's tough to say with the incident that we saw with Elliot earlier on in the race. I mean, that one was really, really close call for me, but I mean, case of that back straightaway, it looked like everybody just converged in on one spot. Gavin may have just came up a little bit too much, pinched him up into the outside wall, ultimately causing that wreck. A wreck that would have been extremely beneficial for him had he been able to retain his track position. So this EOL penalty is deadly for him.
I don't know. This doesn't sit right with me. Last green white checkered here. We had a very similar incident with Henderson not too long ago, and this does not sit right with me. We're gonna get a green flag here momentarily, though. Ashton Lawson in the race lead. Hunter Madalinas on the outside. RJ Williams in third. Elliot Henderson in fourth here on the restart. Half a lap till green flag racing here. Ashton Lawson will lead him down to the green. Hunter Madalinas on the high side. RJ Williams in third. Henderson in fourth. This will be the final green-white checker to decide who wins the race and who makes it to the round of 8. Lawson with a great restart. He's immediately going to jump in front of Madalinas. Does Madalinas get aggressive here?
He may have to move him here if he doesn't get around him going into turn 3. He's actually going to get stuck on the outside of RJ. Get turned! Oh, we're wrecking down the back straight. Ashton Lawson is now our winner as they're wrecking it up down the back straight. Elliot Henderson is upside down!
Fitting end to the race right here. Ashton Lawson will go to victory lane here.
I'm going to need to look at the points going into this round because several drivers there got into that incident who were playoff contenders. Wow. Oh my goodness. That was a big wreck down the back straight.
Huge incident there, and Ashton Lawson will win and lock himself into the next round. Nicewanger was able to get himself back up to third with all those incidents. Chris Heller got fourth, and Brett Kincott with the top 5.
Looking at it seems to shuffle out. He seems to have... Kincott has fallen down to 8th position as it's all starting to sort itself out as drivers get into their spots. Kyle Hall, who we saw get that narrow miss so much so that you use the front bumper as a pen, is in the 9th position, although drivers are still starting to figure it out to try and figure out who's supposed to be where. I think the drivers who are trying to make the next round are not going to end up advancing, as Fitzgerald finished in the 15th position and Ross Brockman finishes 13 laps down.
Wow. Crazy incident to a crazy finish to a race, and a couple of drivers are going to miss out on the round of 8 that maybe should have been in there, like Ross Brockman, who got spun late. Gavin Fitzgerald definitely could have been in the round of 8 if he did not get that late end of the longest line penalty. You have to feel for some of these drivers. Barbagelata, he's going to be right there on the line after that late incident. It's going to be close for some of these other guys.
Yeah, look at the onboard from Elliot Henderson flipping down the back straightaway. It collected essentially everyone as the truck tries to flip and he just keeps bouncing all over the place. I believe a driver almost went underneath him there as he saw the top of that vehicle. Wow, just big contact going down the back straightaway here. Shane Nicewanger running into the back end of Barkuski. Madalinas getting spun around out of the corner there. Gets nailed by Jacob Hayes to go flipping around. There's more contact of Brittle, and there was just so much going on. And Barkuski ends up driving underneath Elliot to flip him back over on all fours.
Just a very insane and confusing finish here, and A lot of drivers that hadn't been running up in the front all day end up finishing up here in the front here at the finish.
I am definitely going to be interested to see who finishes where. I believe that we might be hearing that Shane Nicewanger may have been penalized on the last lap for turning. Sorry. There was a lot that happened there for turning Barkuski coming out of turn 2.
Some very hard racing here at the end. A lot of mangled race trucks, but Ashton Lawson in the Davey Allison throwback was sitting pretty. He was able to burn it down in the number 24 machine. Great job from him. Able just to stay out in front.
Yeah, I think as of right now, we had a very chaotic finish there at the end. I mean, we're essentially lost for words here tonight. But the one driver who's had a great run so far comes away with the victory, had the right strategy there at the end, and with absolutely chaotic restarts, managed to get away from the mess and pull out a victory. Ashton Lawson, our winner for tonight. That was a very, very interesting race from our point of view, but tell us from your point of view, because you didn't start out at the front of the field, but midway through the race, you found yourself at the front. From there on out, it was a sold story.
Yeah, early on, I knew I didn't have the pace to hold the lead or even get up there. As close as I got was like 6th, so I knew I had to do something different. So I think it was lap 31. I made a strategy call to come get tires and fuel, put myself on a different strategy, and it just worked out. Cautions fell where they needed to.
Yeah, the cautions did definitely fall when you needed to, as, I mean, you guys were out there on a strategy where you had a massive advantage over everybody who just pit, as you trapped a bunch of guys a lap down. I mean, was from that point on, did you think you had a phenomenal shot of winning this race, or did you still have a lot of worries about drivers coming up from the back of the field to get up there and pass you?
I knew my odds increased dramatically, but I still knew there was a lot of quicker cars than I was out there, so I just had to hold my ground for 100 or so laps, I think it was.
Yeah, and crucially, I mean, we saw tonight that the restarts were key. As the leader, you have a massive advantage on the restarts, but it's not 100% certain, as later on in the run, you can start to spin tires on those older tires. So I want to know how you manage that, to be able to get such a good restarts every single time, to never put yourself under pressure going into turn 1.
Just made sure when we did have green flag laps, I wasn't tearing up my tires and they still had a little bit of grip in them for every restart to get that good jump I needed.
All right, well, as the winner for tonight, you get the greatest honors of awarding the people who helped you out, your sponsors, friends, and family, and we're curious to know who those people were.
I thank RJ Williams, Eric Kep for all they do for Spectrum and SB2. And I want to thank Richard Grosser for, even though when his commentary sometimes isn't needed, he's always there to encourage.
All right, well, thank you, Ashton Lawson. Congratulations on the victory in what has been one of the more interesting races I think I've seen in recent memory. So thank you for coming in to talk to us, and once again, congrats.
Thank you.
All right, I've got some production words to say that we're just going to talk to one, but as a lot of things are going on, I definitely want to talk to some of these other drivers that got through the chaos. First, we're going to be going through with RJ Williams, who was one of the few drivers who was actually out front all day long. Didn't manage to have enough there at the end to get the victory, or simply just didn't have the laps to do it. I mean, tell us about those restarts there at the end, constantly knowing that you were probably at a disadvantage to the leader. Did you ever think that if we just got some green flag laps that you could have gotten it?
No, Ashton was better than me that whole race. I was just trying to run my race there. He was a lot better, so congrats on the win to Ashton. He certainly deserved it. I hate that netcode got Hunter there, but that's what happens when we get close racing there. He got me into 3, but certainly that incident off of 2 was not intentional by any means. The restarts there, I didn't like the last about 4 of them. I really didn't need them. I was afraid Elliot was going to start digging on me pretty hard, and he was about to there before we got one of those cautions. I don't think I had anything for Ashton, but I felt like a pretty solid top 2 car. And then once we had those restarts, I lost spot to Hunter. And then I tried to hang with them every restart there, and they were working together. So I just tried my best to stay with them as good as I could. And, I sent it down into 1. And I was there a little bit, but I don't think I had anything for Ashton. He was pretty much, top of the field. That little strategy that we pulled was odd. It really worked out in our favor. I just rolled down, just walking tires to kind of reset myself, and I was just going to drove through the field, kind of trying to run it empty there, and then caution came out, so that saved us there. And I just held on to that track position, the rest of the night, so it worked out.
It seemed to work out for you indeed. Seemed to have the track position all day. Got the better strategy there at the end. I mean, you pretty much explained everything I wanted to talk about here. Just the having to manage all the chaos. The one thing I am curious about is, unlike the position of Ashton Lawson, who had control over the restarts, you had to react to the restarts and battle guys who were coming up behind you on much fresher tires than you. How did you manage to hold most of those guys off or be able to get the positions back on them?
I was really worried about Elliot there, and I had my eye on Jake. He didn't climb through like I thought he would. I don't know if he got caught up in some messes back there, but I had my eye on Elliot. I knew he had a little bit fresher tires. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he was still on the same set after he got his lucky dog, but I felt like he was on a little bit better tires. I think Brandon was there too. But I felt like Elliot would have been my competition there. And then Hunter made his way in there, and I think Hunter even had a little bit better tires than myself. So, I mean, it's the guys I expect to be up front to be racing with, and the ones I need to worry about, and I was having to worry about them and deal with them. So that's part of it. That's what makes this league fun.
All right, well, seem to have some decent fun out there tonight, even with the plenty of cautions. You came away with a decent finish. Ran good all day, so congratulations on that. Who do you have to thank for the finish tonight?
All the guys over at Spectrum, Hunter, Ashton, Eric, Gavin, Ross, all them guys over there. Really appreciate the team. Everybody at Great Lakes for putting this on, all the admin team, everybody that spends time on their Tuesdays to come out here and race. There's a lot of guys that spend their Tuesdays with us, and they're our dedicated members. A good 30 plus of them, so you can't go wrong with that. That's a sign of a strong league. So I appreciate everybody showing up. And be sure to check us out on Flatout Racing at Commerce Speedway every Saturday night.
All right. Thank you and congratulations, RJ Williams. We will see you next week.
Thanks, sir.
All right. And what is currently the tentative and unofficial third position at the moment, this is what is currently in question. But as of right now, we've got Shane Nicewanger in the booth. Currently sitting in the third spot. Had some controversy there at the finish. Unsure of how this result is going to end up. It could significantly change your playoff chances. But how are you feeling knowing that you had a decent run tonight, and up until the very death of it, you are so far sitting going into the next round?
Yeah, I thought we were going to have a good run here tonight. I wasn't really worried about missing the playoffs or the next round coming into here. But, obviously I got run over a few times there in the middle of the race. Ended up, I think, with 30 to go, I was 22nd. And I just worked the way through. I'm not sure what controversy. If you're talking about me and Brandon, I was right there behind him, and I couldn't see him or see what he was lifting for. It looked like he checked up in the middle of the corner. And, with a lap to go, the way this playoff format is, I don't care for it, but you can't lift at that point. I was going to get run over by the guys behind me. So I hate that happened to Brandon. I'm sorry about that. Intention wasn't to turn you. I would have been perfectly okay coming out here with the top 5, because I would have been pretty good for the points. But all in all, this race was a mess, I think, for most people tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you were head front in the middle of the chaos. The other 2 drivers we've talked to so far kind of stayed mostly out of it for the most part. What is it like negotiating through what is essentially starting to become a demolition derby at the end is every single driver is vying for every single position they can get.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks. I was just, if I came out of here with a top 10 today, it would have been perfectly fine for my point situation. Obviously, the few incidents I had been in earlier didn't allow that. I pitted with 30 to go, and it was just ride the bottom. And at that point, when you have fresher tires, I feel like if you get underneath the guy, you're going to clear him. But if you're equal on tires, it's so tough to make a pass here. The guy on the top, like, he's not going to pass a lot of people, but if you're trying to pass him, he can pinch you down and you're not getting a run off the corner. So I don't know what everybody hated Bristol Dirt for some reason, but I thought this race was a mess tonight.
Yeah, sometimes we do definitely get our messy races, and the drivers definitely have to negotiate it. So from your point of view, to be able to come away with a third place finish after all of that, congratulations on that. Who do you have to thank for it?
I want to thank my Dark Horse teammates tonight for the practice we put in coming into this. I think all of those guys got us ready. Nathan and Hunter Brittle, those guys really helped me get ready for this. I want to thank Homeland Esports for partnering with us. They've been with us all season. Everybody that watched tonight stuck through that. Thank you. We'll put on a better show next week. And you guys for putting on a good race. Walking out of here with third feels like Christmas morning.
Yep, thank you for coming in to talk to us, Shane Nicewanger. Congratulations on third, and we'll be seeing you next week at Kansas.
Thanks, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Great Lakes Truck Series race at Richmond Raceway, the Patti Engineering 175. Kyle, it has been finish. I've seen a lot happen throughout the days. I've seen a lot of races end pretty messy, but for some of these drivers here at the finish, I mean, it was the difference between making the next round and missing it lap by lap.
It was very close for some of these guys, and we ended up keeping the same 8 that we had before the race had started that would make it into the next round. Of course, you have Jake Miller and Nathan Nicholson with their victories at Darlington and Watkins Glen, who were able to lock themselves into the next round. Lawson was able to lock himself in with the win here tonight, and our other 5 drivers that will be advancing are Shane Nicewanger, Zachary Henry, Elliot Henderson, Christopher Heller, and Mr. Excitement William Barbagelata are all getting into the next round, and Gavin Fitzgerald is the first guy coming out of it, only 7 points outside of the top 8 heading into Kansas. So a lot of these drivers are going to be looking forward to that next round. We got Kansas in the next round. We got Dover in the next round. We have a very exciting next round. I think we finish it up with Martinsville. So that should be a very exciting transfer race. Looking forward to next week at Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas Speedway, one of my favorite 1.5 mile racetracks. It's a real fun one, a lot of high speed, a lot of lane options when you're running in a truck series, but primarily some high side action for these guys running at the front of the field. It's definitely going to be a fun one, as we're going to see a lot of guys racing really hard for track position on those restarts. And we're going to see likely some very, very long runs where we're going to be seeing a lot of slide jobs for spots, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, definitely going to be some good racing, some multi-groove racing next week at Kansas Speedway. We're going to start off the round of 8 next week with 134 laps, and Everyone Loves Walmart 200. That should be a fun one next week. Any last thoughts on Richmond, Alex, before I send it out?
At least from my point of view, this is essentially the marquee Richmond race, so I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Definitely an entertaining race, to say the least. And Ashton Lawson and the Davey Allison throwback number 24 was able to make it into the next round after the victory. We will see you next week at Kansas. Thank you all for tuning in to this broadcast of the Flatout Racing Network. Have a wonderful night, y'all.